TCU is going to Austin, Texas this coming Saturday. It'll be a 7:30 Eastern kick, 6:30 local time. College game day is going to be there for the second time this season, and a lot of juice around Austin, Texas, around their football program for Texas. This is a chance to make their presence felt. Everyone's going to talk about, is Texas back? Is Texas not back during this game and after this game? I think that's a little bit foolish. It's year 2 under Sark. Let this thing bake. But the important thing we got to talk about is their Big 12 title hopes are still very much in play. They're a factor in November. The University of Texas at Austin, they are. All right, so that in itself is sort of a win for the program and the trajectory that they have under Steve Sarkisian, because this time last year, at the end of November, we were saying how they weren't even going to make a bowl game. So that's progress. It's a chance for them to, like I said, make their presence felt on the national landscape. Now for TCU, kind of the same thing. For them, they're just kind of trying to make their case, yes, for the Big 12 title. That's obviously important. That's obviously one of their preseason goals, but they're trying to make a case on the national level for the college football playoff. A win against a top-ranked, I'll rephrase that, top 25 ranked Texas team would do something for you, right? I mean, it would add more legitimacy to what they've already done so far. Also, it would be on the road. So, big resume booster for TCU, trying to make a statement. What are the hinge points in this game? I say it every single week because we have so many of you that are new to this party, and we love it, but I'll just explain this again. Hinge points for us in breaking down this game. A hinge point is whichever way that variable swings, it probably determines the outcome of the game based on which way it swings. So for us, one of the hinge points in this game is what's the score in the third quarter? Say, JD, that's a weird question to ask. I understand. That's cool. Let's break it down. Texas has lost 5 of their last 6 second halves. So they've been outscored, outplayed in 5 of those last 6 second halves. Not a good recipe. For TCU, they've won their last 4 second halves. You sensing a trend here? TCU, they surge in the second half. Texas has got to find a way to keep the pedal to the metal. So when it comes to that third quarter, is it a 31-10 kind of scenario like we saw last week for Texas? Do they have that kind of lead or that cushion to play with? Because if history is our teacher, TCU is going to surge in the second half. Now, the advantage for Texas is they're at home, so maybe the crowd can play a factor for you. I anticipate they will. It's a big-time matchup. But you got to have a little bit of something to play with if you're Texas. That's probably the way that you want to approach this third quarter. So the better the cushion, the more confident you likely feel. But for Steve Sarkisian and company, you can't have second-half Sark. You know it. I know it. Promise you Steve Sarkisian knows it. They got to find a way to adjust. In the last 2 halves that they've played, the last 2 second halves that they've played, whether it was Oklahoma State, whether it was Kansas State, they scored a total of 6 points in those 2 second halves. So offensively, you got to figure out how to have something sustainable going forward. Because this TCU program, they got some weapons. Max Duggan with his arm, with his legs, playing really effective, efficient football. Quentin Johnston is going to be a guy that wears an NFL uniform here very, very soon. Kendre Miller, they got guys. And so the offensive output from them is going to be strong. No matter how you slice it, they are going to give you some sort of surge, some sort of push, some sort of run in that second half. Do you have some sort of cushion? Do you have something sustainable built up against it? Because this is the kind of game where if you're Steve Sarkisian, this is, like I said, your sort of make your presence felt kind of game. And this is not anything new for Texas. We've talked a lot about their second half performances. To have a statement kind of second half for Texas against an opponent like TCU, who's going to have some college football playoff stake in the game in this kind of game, I mean, this would be the time to do it. This would be the time to make your presence felt and to make that switch, to flip that switch. So keep an eye on that. Another thing that we're watching in this game, both programs are scoring over 35. Texas averaging 36 points a game. It's good for 15th in the country. TCU scoring 41 points a game. I could very easily see in this kind of contest play out like a home run derby. And in a home run derby, you and I both know, sometimes it just comes out to who gets more pitches, who gets more swings, more chances to just crack a home run over the fence. Because both programs have a lot of weapons. We'll start with Texas. Xavier Worthy and Quinn Ewers, that deep ball connection is going to be crucial. They've been really close on it a couple of times these past 2 games. If they can connect on it, it changes the entire complexion of the game. Because then Bijan Robinson, the lanes get even bigger for him, which is a scary sight. I tend to believe this may be a game for him where he makes his Heisman sort of candidacy very much felt, it's going to be crucial. That's got to be the big play that you have available, is Xavier Worthy deep downfield. Jatavian Sanders over the middle, you would like that as well. Got to have the big play there for you, and it starts with Worthy. For TCU, we already mentioned it. Duggan is the straw that stirs the drink. Kendre Miller averaging 6.5 yards a carry, over 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. The dude is a problem for you. You got to make sure that he continues to eat in this game. Problem for you if you're Texas, not if you're TCU. He is a problem you can present for the opposition. Quentin Johnston, like I already said, a big play waiting to happen. Throw it up. Number one's probably coming down with it. So to sort of flip that whole script, we talk about who gets more pitches, falls over on the defense. One, can you get stops, right? Like that's going to be, in my opinion, at a premium in this game. Who can get more stops and create more opportunities for the offense? Heck, let's take it a step further. Who can create more takeaways? Neither defense has really been elite in that department statistically, but in a game like this, if you could take the ball away and tee it up for your offense on the 30-yard line, the opposing 30 that is, I'm just saying that would change the entire race. Because if we're playing home run derby, it just gives you more pitches. And I think that could be a determining factor in this kind of game. Who can answer scores is also going to be crucial. Because if Texas goes down 14-0 in the first quarter, and you're assuming that that surge is still coming in the second half from TCU, you don't like that. You got to be able to answer scores. Same thing for TCU. We're talking about creating that cushion, right? For Texas has to have that cushion, later in the game because you're trying to defend that surge. If Texas can get up 14-0, just continues to build that kind of wall, but you're expecting a second half TCU team to really come at you with their firepower, all right? So that's going to be something to watch. Answering scores and then being able to, quite frankly, create more ammo for your offense if you're the defense. I don't expect defense to play a crucial factor in this game in terms of, wow, Texas just stonewalled TCU, or vice versa. Hey, TCU just had answers for Texas and what they could do on the ground and what Quinn Ewers was doing. I don't think that's the case. Who can provide more resistance and create more opportunities for their offense? We're in for a good old-fashioned 2010-ish Big 12 kind of shootout, in my opinion. It's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get to this next point, quick sidebar. They play defense now in the Big 12. I don't expect there to be a lot in this game, but they do play defense in the Big 12. Ask Baylor, ask Iowa State historically. I'll leave that there because it's not really super relevant to this game, but I just want to say this is a throwback kind of Big 12 game. This is not a typical kind of Big 12 game that we play now in 2022. The final hinge point for me, and potentially the most important, is this the kind of game that Quinn Ewers wins for you? Bijan Robinson is an absolute stud. He should be in New York. If they win this game, I think he cements his status as being a Heisman finalist. If I'm TCU, though, I'm keen on Bijan. Like I would say, we're not going to lose the game with number 5 running the football if I'm TCU's defense. I just think that's probably the way that you want to live. You give all your attention to Bijan Robinson. You say, freshman quarterback, beat us. Your move. To put it bluntly, this is the kind of game that you brought Quinn Ewers to Austin for. This is the reason he's there. To be able to will you forward with the vertical passing game and to win a game like this in a big-time setting, in a big-time matchup with 2 ranked teams. Like, this is the kind of game he's there for. Can he do it for you? Because this will happen, whether it's in the third quarter or in the first quarter, they will try to take away Bijan Robinson. Maybe it's not the entirety of the game. Maybe it's just one play. Maybe it's third and long, and you got to convert to stay in it. Quinn Ewers has to make plays to win the football game for you. To phrase that another way, Quinn Ewers needs to be the pressure point. Needs to be the pressure point of the offense, meaning when you put the pressure on him, he has to be able to respond and make it happen for you offensively. I don't think that's novel analysis. To me, the key number for him is right around 300 yards passing. I know that's asking a lot, but for all the stars next to his name, for all the buzz around him coming to Austin, I think it's fair. He's played a little bit better against Kansas State, Oklahoma State. There was crazy wins, but let's call a spade a spade. Didn't play great. He's back home now. You need your best from Quinn Ewers when his best is required. I know he's young, but I think that's what you got to ask from him in this game. So here's my prediction in this game. For Texas, you're going to have the crowd at your back, and you got one of the top dogs. You have the top dog, quite frankly, in the Big 12 coming to your house. I'm not saying we don't see this game twice, but I do think Texas has enough in the tank. I think they get enough out of Quinn Ewers. I think they hit enough deep shots. I think the defense actually capitalizes on some opportunities that they left on the field last week in Manhattan, Kansas. Forced a couple fumbles they didn't dive on. I think they're more opportunistic, and that ends up being the difference in this game. Like I said, we're going to have a shootout. I think the final score ends up being Texas 45, TCU 42. So the Longhorns get a huge win at home. Is Texas back? Is Texas not back? Not what we're here to talk about. But they beat a top-ranked team at their house and get things trending the right direction and keep their Big 12 title hopes alive. Like I said, something tells me we may see this game again in Arlington for some hardware. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.